Hey, it's Wednesday afternoon, and we always like hearing that music because that means it's time for Helping Seniors of Brevard. I'm John Harper, and the host of Helping Seniors of Brevard, Kerry Fink, is ready to get the show underway with another interesting topic and conversation. But Kerry, it never fails. People love that music, don't they?
Oh, it's great. We call it the music of your life, you know?
Because it is your life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you, John Harper. It's always a pleasure to gather around the radio every Wednesday at lunchtime right here on 90.3 FM, WEJF. And hello to those of you who join us online at WEJF.net and those who catch this later as a podcast. And John Harper, we were talking when this is still, I consider this kind of like a historic moment. You know, last week, if you were part of the Helping Seniors radio show, you know our guest was Lois Thomas, and she's the one that is putting on that terrific job fair that's happening literally right now, right at this moment. It goes till 1 o'clock over there at the Tony Rosa Community Center right there in Palm Bay. And we were telling her that this was actually a big moment in history. If you know our president and founder, Joe Steckler, he was the guy that created the Joe's Clubs and all that, Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation. And then in 2011, he said, Kerry, there's more stuff that we need to do because not all seniors are affected by memory issues, but there are other issues that we need to have an organization that can help connect them and their families to the resources that will help them. And so that's how Helping Seniors of Brevard was born. But Joe was sharing that he had always had this vision for what we call a senior resource center, a place where business partners can get together with our Florida nonprofit, Helping Seniors of Brevard, and that we can really create resources and tools that help seniors and their families. And so last week when Lois was here and we were talking about this event that's going on literally right now, the 50 Plus Job Fair, we were saying, this is a first for us. We are finally recording and doing broadcasting from our offices right here at the Omni Healthcare Professional Tower right here on the medical campus in Melbourne. It's pretty exciting, John.
It really is, Kerry, and to be involved with this as we get the program underway from the new facility, the new location. This doesn't always happen in radio. I mean, it does from time to time, but nonetheless, the fact that Joe Steckler had this vision a decade and more about the facility here that we're in right now, and it is happening, and it's exciting and thrilling to be involved with it, and also to have this broadcast coming to our listeners from our new location.
Absolutely. And kind of with that, I want to bring into the conversation somebody's very integral to everything that we're trying to do here. She's been, just like you, John Harper, have been you helped Joe back in Brevard Alzheimer's days. And I'm talking about Jennifer Barton with her company, Seniors Helping Seniors. Jennifer, you have been part of Helping Seniors, literally, it seems to me like going back to almost when Joe started the whole thing.
A year or two after,
Yeah.
but just shortly after, so I've been around a little while now.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you kind of are so kind to share the vision on everything. You serve on our volunteer board of directors, but you also are busy with your own company where you hire seniors to help seniors, Seniors Helping Seniors. And we jokingly laugh because people oftentimes get a little bit confused because everybody is about helping seniors, and you're Seniors Helping Seniors, and we are Helping Seniors of Brevard. And now, just to make the confusion even more complicated, we're all in the same office together.
Exactly. So I figured everyone gets us confused anyway. We might as well just go all the way. Cannot wait, to get 100% up and rolling. But we are, we've moved our offices into the Senior Resource Center here, along with a couple of other great businesses, more to come. But this was great for me because I got to kind of roll right out of my office and roll right here into the our makeshift radio studio, and I've got no downtime in between, so this is awesome.
Yeah, Jennifer, you were with me early on with our board of directors when we used to meet over off of Hibiscus, right? I can't think of the name of the building, but you were with me over there.
Off of Hibiscus. Maybe?
Yeah. I mean, it goes back.
Oh, it's been, well, it's got to be at 10 years.
There you go. Yeah.
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 So you helped to put the foundation in of the organization.
I think so. I absolutely think so. And I was smiling because, Jennifer, last week when we were on the radio with Lois and we were sharing the story of Joe's first introduction to John Harper, he walked in, he was looking for radio, and he was trying to figure out how to get radio going on the air to let folks know about what he was doing with Brevard Alzheimer's. And just share the quick version of that story, because I think it's funny. It's like he's literally up on a step ladder painting the studios or something.
It was a hot August summer day. I had been painting. I was all by myself in what would be WMAL radio, and I'm covered in paint because earlier in the morning the ladder kind of collapsed and the paint bucket fell on me. It looked like a scene out of a movie or something like that. But nonetheless, Joe came in and he said, "I want to speak to the general manager or the owner." And I said, "Well, believe it or not, you're talking to him." And Joe kind of looked around as though I was joking and looking for the camera or something like that. But we struck up a good conversation, and we've been friends ever since.
Well, the point of it was, I said, oftentimes we feel like that here now in the Senior Resource Center because we're just at those opening phases. You know, we're moved in, but we're still moving in. And it's really exciting. That's why I say I don't want to belittle it, but this is a big deal. This is the second week now in a row that we're able to do our broadcast from right here at this office. And Jennifer, I want to make sure people kind of get the gist of this. This is a vision that Joe has had from going back to his Brevard Alzheimer's days. He always felt there was a need to get businesses who care about seniors and the nonprofit together to work to really get resources in the hands of seniors and the families that care about them. And as he often does, he's pretty tenacious, and so he started sending out a lot of letters to a lot of people saying, like, we need this. And Jennifer, as you know, we did have a kind of a precursor to this over with our great friends at Zon Beachside, because there was a senior resource center there, and it was kind of a precursor to this. And, for all we know, we might have still been there had it not been for COVID, and that shut everything down. And then actually, Greg Kennedy, who was a great friend of this organization, he said, listen, you guys are not able to make use of the center because nobody can come in and out. Remember, it's 30 days to stop the spread, and it just kind of expanded out it just kept going. And so he goes, like, I really need the space to house some seniors here. And so we had to kind of put that on the shelf for a little bit. But Joe never gave up on the vision, and he started sending out letters. And Dr. Craig DeLegdish of Omni Healthcare answered the call. He said, listen, if there's a way I can help you, I'm going to try to work it out. And so here we are. We're sitting in 5,600 square feet in the Omni Healthcare, the beautiful Omni Healthcare professional tower right here on the medical campus just off the river in Melbourne. And the things that we're going to be able to accomplish from here are really exciting, Jennifer.
Oh, it really is, and I'm so excited about it. It's already, I shared that vision with Joe and knew that really good things would come out of this. And it's funny how many good things have already, even though not all of us are here yet, how many of us have come in, and just the little things that would have happened. Like I had a caregiver come in to drop off her paperwork, and she just happened to mention in conversation that she's in the donut hole.
Wow.
She's in that part of the Medicare year where her medications are no longer being picked up. And I said, well, wait a minute. We have an answer for that. Or we have a potential answer for that. So I walked over to Joe's office and said, hey, Joseph from Canadian Meds of Melbourne,
right,
what can you do for this person? So he educated her a little bit on some of the medications and what they can do. And lo and behold, he's going to be able to save her quite a bit of money on that time period that she's in the donut hole. So that, just a very quick, simple little, example of how all of us being together can kind of work with one another, because it's right then and there. We didn't have to call, we didn't have to write.
Yeah.
No emails. We were able to take care of a little thing very quickly and very happily.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about it for years. Joe has always, ever since I've known him, he's talked about you need to make an aging plan, sort of a guideline. We say it's just like you think of a hurricane plan. Does not mean by any stretch of the imagination you want the hurricane. It just means you want to be prepared. And it's the same idea with Joe and his aging plan. There's twists and turns on the road, so let's think about things that we might run into. And instead of reacting in crisis mode, let's try to get ahead of that curve and think about it. And then, as you know, we've talked a lot now in the past couple of years. We kind of jokingly call that whole process getting your ducks in a row. And we've really brought it into, 7 kind of key areas that we try to educate and help families really think through. Everything from legal to financial to getting your best life at home. So if you say, like, I want to age in place and this is what I'm committed to, I want to do it correctly, safely. So there's a lot of things you can think about. Then the flip side is a lot of people say, well, I'm ready to downsize. I'm ready to look at new living options. So that's a whole other area. Like we're talking about, getting your Medicare assignment correctly so that you have the right choice for Medicare for your particular situation based on doctors, where you travel to, your prescriptions, things like that. That's another whole area. Transportation is another area in our conversation. We've talked about all these things, and we say, let's help you get your ducks in a row. So when you pick up your copy of Senior Scene magazine, when you listen to the radio shows, when you find our TV shows, we're always trying to get that message through. But one of the things that we've really built up a lot, and I guess we've learned ourselves along the way, is the corollary to this is don't try this on your own. There's so much help out. Like I was just thinking when you were telling that great story about the lady coming into the office, and there's Joe Pons from Canadian Meds able to not just talk in theory, but look at the lady's list of prescriptions and say, here's some ideas. Here's where we can go right now. It's going to make a difference. That's the kind of thing that Joe's always had in mind.
Exactly. And there's so much to, I hate to say it, but getting older, there's, I've been at we've owned Seniors Helping Seniors now. Just celebrated our 11th birthday, now into our 12th year.
Congratulations.
And I've learned so much, but there's still so much I don't know. And there's so much that, it gets complicated. I know a little bit about Medicare, but I know enough to know that I just scratched the surface. So it's so nice to have so many different disciplines of the senior industry here together who can answer those questions. Don't try to do it by yourself.
Right.
I feel like I know quite a bit, but I know to say, we need to ask a Medicare person that question. We need to ask, I had a conversation with a client earlier today about different assisted living facilities and memory care units, and what was my opinion on all of these different places and some of the smaller homes. And that's where it's great to talk to a placement company, because they deal with them day in and day out. They know them intimately. What's going on in all of them, where the good ones are, what's going to fit your loved one. Not the different mix of people within that small group home. It might be a great mix for your parent, because they're very active and social and want to talk to people. So they know them all intimately. I can give some generalizations, but having all of those different experts right at our fingertips to be able to say, hey, here's what to think about, here's the good, here's the bad, here's the options, and give you a really educated opinion on the possibilities.
I was thinking about, like, a lot of times you may think you have a really great doctor that you go to see, and then the doctor will turn to you at a certain point and say, well, I'd really like to consult with this kind of a specialist. And the doctor's just smart enough to know, like, this is where my limitations are, and I want to get you the best connected so that you can get the best health result that's possible in your situation. And so what I was thinking as you were talking again about that, so Nancy Deerdorf, who is our operations director, she, like John Harper, goes back with Joe all the way back into the days of Brevard Alzheimer's, and was originally on the board of directors until she was kind enough to step down from the directors so she could come on staff and help us organize realize everything that goes on with the Senior Information Helpline, which we've now been running for 12 plus years in the county. It's that free call for seniors and their families at 321-473-7770. I'll say it again, give you a second to grab a pencil so you can jot it down, because it's definitely a number you want to make sure you have access to. That phone number for the Helping Seniors Information Line is 321-473-7770. So Nancy, for her own self, comes, 30, I was saying 33 years, but now it's got to be a year or two more. She must be like 35 years of registered nurse experience. And she also ran one of the largest home health agencies in our area for like a dozen years. So she's got all this background. And what I love is that when she gets a call, she knows how to route it to get to the person who would have the information that might be able to make a difference in that senior's life. And I've said this to Joe. I said, I always think we're like, talking about Joe Steckler, our president and founder, I always say it's like we're the little engine that could. I said, to me, it's surprising how often we're able to help simply because we know the right person or can find the right person who can make a difference in a particular situation. And this just takes it to a whole nother level when we're all in the same office.
Exactly. And when we find a resource, we make sure that Nancy gets it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And Nancy, you might already know about this, but have you heard of this organization? Or did you know that this organization does this? So Nancy is kind of the collector of all of those wonderful resources that we all hear and talk about. So she's like the one-stop shop on all things senior resource.
Well, let's talk for a minute about the office itself. So again, when Joe Steckler put out the call, he said we're trying to figure out where we could land and really build this over time, this Senior Resource Center of Brevard. And so Dr. Craig DeLegdish with Omni Healthcare said, I'd like to see if I can find a way that I can help you guys. And he made available to us this beautiful 5,600 square foot office space in his Omni Healthcare professional tower, and said, I think this is going to be an opportunity that you guys could really, maybe even have a chance to step up how you're able to serve seniors and their families through this. And so as I was smiling about John Harper talking about being up on a ladder and painting as he was just getting the radio station off the ground, that may be about where we're at in this whole process, because we literally are sort of semi under construction and all. John?
I'll make sure, Kerry, that if you're doing the painting, we have a ladder that won't collapse on you. You don't want that to happen.
Well, trust me, if we want this place to look nice, we do not want me painting. That's all I'm going to say. Ladder or no ladder.
I have to admit, earlier today I was out in the front where our if you imagine what a doctor's office looks like, where the front reception area was, and I was up on the counter tucking some wires back up into the ceiling. And one of the nurses from one of the other doctor's offices had just happened to walk over to ask, what is this all about? We see people coming and going, what is this? So yeah, kind of got caught standing on the counter without a ladder, making other people nervous, but I really was fine. But so we're still not 100% there, but we're getting very close.
No, and really what's exciting about this is let's talk about so first of all, where is this office? It is open, although again, as they always say, pardon our dust and all that, because we are under construction, but we're at 1344 South Apollo Boulevard, and it's really like a block or two over from the hospital. I always describe it, being a space nerd, I just think it's cool we're on a place called Apollo Drive. That's just neat by itself. But we're on the second floor because they've made available to us Suite 2C. So you come to the second floor, and it's pretty evident because you'll see all the brochures and things from some of our partners right out in the front. We don't have all our signage yet. We are working on all that. So I realize it's still, I've been telling people, so look for a grand opening, an official grand opening opening actually in July. But we are open for business. And what's happening right now, this is exciting for us because we've never been able to do this before in the Helping Seniors world. We are finally having a volunteer office. So, because we get calls from people, and I hope if you're listening and you're interested, please call Nancy, get on the list. We're just taking down the names right now, but we're going to have some things that you could help us with here at the center if you're willing to give an hour or two each week or something like that. So we have a volunteers office. We also have, because if you've been around helping seniors any amount of time, you understand that we have a senior housing crisis going on here in Brevard County, where seniors are getting displaced, it seems like weekly, because they can't manage the rent increases on fixed income. Somebody sells an apartment complex or a house that they've lived in for 15 or 20 years, have faithfully paid their rents and things, but now the new owner just has a different economic plan, and it doesn't work well for the senior. And so this senior housing task force is also going to be established here. Plus we have, we're working on putting together a classroom where we're going to be able to do a number of workshops and things, everything we've been asked about, from trying to help seniors do better with the technology so they can learn their smartphones, access services and things like that, or their computers or whatever, to just simple good things like we were talking with one of our partners here in the center. Her name is Gita Patel. She is Coastal Occupational Therapy, and she really wants to help seniors with everything from mobility to making sure they're able to drive safely. There's so many neat things that different partners are bringing into this. Vicki Moore, who's a licensed Medicare agent, a great person, like when we're talking about donut holes and things like that. She can sit down with somebody, work through where they are, and being independent, she's not beholden to a particular insurance company. She can find like where the best deal is for somebody. And you mentioned too, Jennifer, like another one of our partners is Denise Bergman with Senior Care Authority. And what I love about them is they do just what you were talking about earlier. They know all the assisted livings, know who to call, and they can match up. Somebody says, well, this is what mom's likes or doesn't like. They really can help somebody find a place for mom. So we're actually going to get close to our mid-show break, but we want to continue this conversation and really get into the second half of our show today, Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, where we want to talk about getting the best quality of life, which is something that your company really excels, both in the hiring seniors to do things, but also in the helping seniors to do things side.
We absolutely try to do that.
Yeah, so we're going to have the second half of the Helping Seniors show coming around here in just a few moments, and stay tuned for us as we get there on Helping Seniors Radio.
And good afternoon. We continue with Helping Seniors Brevard. Always some good peppy music there that everyone seems to like. And we've got a good conversation going right now that I think everybody is enjoying. Let's get back to more of that with your host and the Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard. Here's Kerry Fink.
Thank you, John Harper, and thank you, Jennifer Barton, who is our guest in studio today. Guest is kind of probably a euphemistic word. You're really like family with the Helping Seniors side of things. With your company, Seniors Helping Seniors, you really make a difference because you hire seniors to help seniors, and we're going to get into that in a minute. I just want to thank everybody for coming back on 90.3 FM WEJF Radio, where we are every lunchtime with the Helping Seniors radio show. Those of you listening online at WEJF.net, and those of you who catch this later as a podcast, every place you get fine podcasts, from Apple iTunes to Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, you'll find Helping Seniors radio there. And we are having really a great time, because this is still in the moments of history. I was joking last week when we had our first broadcast from our Helping Seniors Senior Resource Center right here in the beautiful Omni Healthcare Professional Tower, located right here, on the medical campus here in downtown Melbourne, just a block or so from the hospital. And we were talking about, I was trying to come up with something pithy, like, Neil Armstrong lands on the moon. He's like one small step for man. And it feels like we're kind of here. This is the second opportunity that we've had to broadcast from right here inside the Senior Resource Center. And this is a lot of fun, Jennifer.
It really is. And I, like I said before, I'm so excited because I think so many good things are going to come out of this senior resource center. So many collaborative things that I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to be able to roll across the hallway and do radio with you.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Yeah, we're setting up where we're gonna be able to do TV, volunteers office, just lots of great things are coming here. So be patient with us, and better yet, support us. We're gonna tell you at the end of the show how you can support us in the work of helping seniors. We've talked about the car raffle, and we won't talk about Team Dodge quite yet, but we'll get there. What I actually do want us to talk about in the radio show is, because we titled the show Getting Best Quality of Life as a Senior. Every one of us has a slightly different walk. You know, we may have different things that are going on, age-wise, medical-wise, different situation-wise, family-wise, all those different things. And yet, you guys with Seniors Helping Seniors, you hire seniors, you help seniors, and we laugh, people get our names confused. You're the company that does that. Helping Seniors of Brevard is the Florida nonprofit that Joe Steckler established, literally now in our 12th year of service. But we're all kind of geared for the same thing, improving the quality of life for seniors, Jennifer.
Absolutely. And that's what we try to do every day at Seniors Helping Seniors. We really do hire seniors. And when we hire them on, we say, welcome to the family, because we're trying to take care of them just as much as we take care of our clients, because we find if our caregivers are having a really good time doing what they're doing, the clients are getting great service and the whole thing works. But we're always, working on educating them, on senior topics so that they are informed going out when they're talking to clients, but also for themselves, how to keep active, how to stay healthy, how to keep our brains active. So meetings and different things that we do, we'll bring in guest speakers. We're trying to enrich their lives so that they are healthy and able to enrich the lives of our clients. And we've gotten a really good reputation in the community for, what some would say is going above and beyond. And I love that they think that about us. I feel like we do a great job. But for our caregivers, they don't really feel like they're doing above and beyond. They just feel like they are doing what they're called to do to help that person, because we're going in one senior to another. They're going in, it's a different mindset. They're going in to be helpful. And so they don't look at it as a job. I've got to do 40 hours a week. It's a very flexible part-time job. They're going in saying, oh my gosh, I would love to work with this person, and they just connect and they do a great job. So it's a lot of fun for us in the office. We don't get to see our clients as often as we would like to, because a lot of them are amazing and have incredible stories. But it's fun for us to play matchmaker. To sit and say, okay, this personality will really work great with that personality, and then we get to kind of watch that take off.
As you were talking your way through that, I was thinking that it is fascinating to me. Last week, when we were on the air with Lois Thomas with Career Source Brevard, who, by the way, has that really good back to work 50+ job fair. It goes on till 1 o'clock, so I'm pretty sure it's in the wrapping stages. And she was talking about some of the great resources, some of the great employers that she was bringing out, and we were literally talking about you, Jennifer Barton, with Seniors Helping Seniors, because I said, I love a statement that you made one time, that you love to hire seniors with the heart of a volunteer, but who don't mind taking a paycheck.
Exactly. So it's a win-win, because they are getting to do something that they really enjoy, and they also get paid for it. And really for them too, it is a way of staying engaged and social, because that's the whole thing of the show, where we're trying to help people live their best lives and the best quality of life. And a big part of that is staying engaged, staying social with people.
Joe Steckler, our president and founder, has always talked about, first of all, he talks about that aging plan. We talked a little bit about that at the beginning of the show. But then he also talks about the elements of care. And what he means by that is he's talking about getting the right level of help at the right time. And you and I have had this conversation that you really kind of serve as kind of like that first rung where you're getting people used to getting a little bit of extra help at home. Oftentimes, you guys are the hands and eyes and ears for maybe adult children who are out of state, and they can't get here the way they would want to help out with their relative, their loved one, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, whatever it is. But they can feel secure knowing that there is somebody who is there and kind of keeping up with what's going on, and it really becomes also that opportunity for the senior who is getting some extra help to get used to that whole concept. Maybe they've been independent their whole life and now they are needing some extra help. And what a great way to get started and get over that, well, somebody's coming into my house kind of stuff.
Exactly. So for us, it's someone a little closer in age coming in who understands what they're going through. So it's a little bit easier to take. It's a little bit more like a friend coming in.
Yeah.
So it's not as weird or as scary as they might think it is. Usually after the first service, they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I really do love her. I'd like to have her back more."
Wow.
And that's what we hope. We hope we've made a really good match so that they're comfortable with the person coming in the house. And then, along down the line, if something happens, they're a little more open to either having more help in the house or maybe even going into assisted living, because we always are very honest with our clients. We talk about what their goals are.
Right.
And, every assessment that we go out, we ask, what are your goals? What is the one thing that you want to get out of there? So maybe one or two things that you want. And most say that they want to stay at home for as long as possible. And of course, we tell them we'll absolutely help you do that as safely as possible. And we're able to do that. I'm so tickled. I have a client that we have worked on and off since 2012.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? So she's been in her home since 2012. But we'll tell them, if we think they're better served with a hands-on company, or if we think they're better served in an assisted living facility, we'll talk to them about that. What is the best thing for you in your situation? And that might be staying at home with our level of care. That may be going up to the next level of care. Or if you're super social and you want to be out and with people, but you're by yourself in your rural area, maybe moving to assisted living where you can participate in music every Fridays and take a bus to go to lunch. And my aunt lived at the Fountains for years, and I used to call her for new restaurant ideas, because they would do a lunch bunch every month and they would go to the newest, latest, and greatest. So I would call her and say, "Hey, Aunt Margaret, where do I go?" She was in the know way more than I was.
Well, there's another aspect to this, I think, that's probably not so much thought about as it should be. I remember something that one of the elder law attorneys who's part of the Helping Seniors Network, her name is Amy B. Van Fossen, and she has the law office of Amy B. Van Fossen. And I remember having a conversation with her one day, and she was talking about, she said, "Kerry, people will come into my office, they'll sit down, and of course, this is probably the first time in their life they've been confronted with a situation, whatever it is, whatever that kind of situation requires for elder law care." And so she says, but, one of the things that I feel good about is I'm able to sit with them and tell them, so I understand, what you're going through, and that's why we're here. While this may be the first time, or maybe you had somebody 10 years ago that you were working with or something. But for most people, it's like once or twice in a lifetime. She goes, we're doing 20, 30 of these a week. So there's like an experience factor that comes into play. And I was thinking, that's what you guys do from the Seniors Helping Senior standpoint. Like, we have a mom, we have a dad, we have an aunt, we have an uncle we're trying to help. But we're by no means experts, but you see this like day in, day out. So you see like, okay, now might be the right time. We want to get some extra help, or, you're really in a position to not only see what's going on and meet the immediate needs, but there's also, because of your experience and ability, to help people kind of like chart the road ahead.
Oh, absolutely. And I think because we are that first rung, and we are a lot of times the first people, and we are talking to seniors and counseling with them, but we're also talking to the family and counseling with them about, different topics of, the daughter being up in New York and being frustrated that mom won't accept help, and what does that look like, and how do you get past that? Or, having talks about dementia. I'm a certified dementia specialist, and having that conversation about some of the different behaviors that can come along with dementia. And everybody with dementia is different, but yet there are some similarities, and talking to the family and saying it's okay.
Yeah.
It happens. I know it's odd, but it does happen, and it's okay. And we'll get through this. We'll get past it.
Yeah, well, and that's also to your point about that, I think, is the fact that you are really, when we talk about quality of life, I think probably sometimes, especially since you guys are probably the first into a senior's home in terms of being some outside help, that it probably a lot of times, I would call it, for lack of a better word, there's probably a bit of negotiation to get, so the person isn't feeling like, oh, they're on my territory, they're stepping, I've taken care of this place by myself all these years, and it's probably very difficult many times for seniors to maybe admit that it's time to get a little help.
Oh, absolutely.
But I was going to,
understandably.
yeah, but with your experience, you guys are really good at sitting down and kind of negotiating and helping everybody see the positive of working together on a program.
Exactly. That's our goal always, is to put people at ease and make them comfortable with that idea, and make sure that the caregiver match that we have is a very comfortable fit for them, so that it's not that we're necessarily trying to talk them into the services, although we probably are, but making sure that they are buying into this, and they know that they're still the boss. We're not here to take over. You have choices, and we're one of those choices. But we're not going to recreate the wheel. If you've made your bed that way for 75 years, we're going to make the bed that way. So it's trying to keep them in the driver's seat and let them know they still have control. We're just going to come alongside and help.
Yeah, a little extra help. Yeah, but that's also part of the conversation too, right? Is that where you fit in and where you make a difference. I'm sure you've been to homes where the senior probably otherwise was just sitting and maybe watching television all day, or basically amusing themselves throughout the day, and all of a sudden when they have that companion caregiver, that interaction, probably, I'm sure you've seen it many times, where it's actually like kind of shifted the trajectory back to life, from rather than just, well, I'm just getting through a day.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We've had some really great success stories. We've had
where the clients did so well. They were kind of rebounding after a medical incident, and the family said, well, you're probably going to be needed for the rest of their lives, and they've done so well and bounced back so well that they didn't even need us anymore. We kind of put ourselves out of a job, which, yay, that's a huge success. So that's a good thing. We just had another one where we took the gentleman out for a walk every day. He was in a facility. He was recuperating. The facility did a great job for him. But we were brought in, and he had been a long distance runner.
Wow.
in his past. So we got out and we walked with him every single day, and he improved so much that he was able to move from that facility to another facility that was a little bit less restrictive. He would have a little bit more activity and autonomy. So again, what a success story. And the daughter said it's because of you guys coming in and working with him every day that he's as strong and independent as he's become.
Well, as a business owner who has a heart for seniors, stories like that really have to make you feel like you are making that difference. But I was also going to say, we titled the program, we want to talk about quality of life, but see, that's where you're really adding value and creating quality of life, because you're meeting the senior where they need to be met and helping them navigate all the things that they have to go through.
Oh, absolutely. And we love the success stories, but there are some, stories where we're, it's on the sadder side, where maybe someone is further along on their memory journey, and still having the patience, training our caregivers and having the patience with that person, that even though they are declining, we can give them the best quality of life and the best quality care that they deserve. Maybe they don't remember everything, but they can still enjoy all of those moments and enjoy familiar hobbies, interests. They may not be able to quilt anymore, but they can still take quilting blocks and put them together, different things. So we really try to go out of our way to make sure that every happy moment is possible.
Yeah. No, every step of the way. And again, because of your experience, you also know when it's time to take another step. So now we've reached a point that we've got to look at some other options because we're just here on our journey. But also that goes back to the quality of life. You're trying to get the maximum quality of life for every segment. And there's one other thing that I wanted to hit on real quick. We don't have a whole lot of time, but you guys also have a product called Electronic Caregiver. So you're working to make life as good as possible for the seniors you guys are connected with.
Oh, I do. I love that because so many of our clients are still pretty active, independent. They may still drive. They want to walk through the neighborhood. They want to go out to Wickham Park and walk. And the Electronic Caregiver is a help I've fallen on I can't get up button. Yeah. But it's so much more than that. It will give medication reminders. It can do blood pressure reminders, whatever that client wants to program it for. But the client can still get out and walk through Wickham Park. So I just set one up about 2 weeks ago to a good friend of the family who's up in New York. I shipped it up to New York for her, and we programmed it all. So all she had to do is plug and play. She really didn't have to do anything, but we walked her through testing it, make sure it's responding. She's still very active. Wow. So she said, I love the fact that I can go to Walmart. Mm-hmm. If she's in the parking lot and takes a fall, she can press the button. They know exactly where she is. And they can come running. You know, a regular alert system typically is in the house. So you press the button, they're going to go to the house.
Yeah.
We want them to go to where you are. So when we want her to stay active and social and be independent. Right. So she can go walk. She can walk through the whole neighborhood and be active and not have to worry about it. She doesn't feel like she's trapped at the house and I can't leave.
Yeah, that's what I say. Really, you guys are, as seniors helping seniors, really in kind of the quality of life business. Whether it's somebody looking for a fulfilling workplace environment or somebody who's needing to get some quality of life going, some help at home, or even just through what you're able to offer with Electronic Caregiver. Let me ask you, if somebody's interested in the things that we're talking about, wants to get some more information, obviously you're right here in the Senior Resource Center of Brevard, Yay. So people can come see you. But if they just want to maybe reach you by phone or something, what's the number for that?
So our office number is 321-722-2999. And again, that's 321-722-2999.
Okay. We're talking with Jennifer Barton of Seniors Helping Seniors. Great organization, great friend of Helping Seniors, and also a great captain for Team Dodge. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the Helping Seniors car raffle. This is the fundraiser because Helping Seniors of Brevard is the 100% local charity right here home in Brevard County. So when you support the work of Helping Seniors, you are supporting us here, and your money is right here in Brevard County. And one of the ways that you can support the work of Helping Seniors, and that's everything from the radio, the TV, to all the services we do for 12 years now. We helped over 5,400 calls last year on the Senior Information Helpline for seniors, the families that care for seniors, their loved ones, and all that. And we publish, as you know, in the center section of Senior Scene magazine. We're all about getting information into the hands of seniors. We're now embarking on our biggest adventure yet with the Senior Resource Center of Brevard, and really excited about the things that that's going to do for seniors. But it takes your help to keep it going. So years ago, Joe Steckler, our president and founder, got together with his friend AJ Hires, and they said, well, maybe we can help you build what they call to this day the Joe's Clubs that Brevard Alzheimer's has. They were all constructed because in part through the funds that came in from the car raffle. And to be honest, the car raffle is how we keep Helping Seniors rolling forward, and you can help us. You buy a ticket, one for $25, $5 for $100 donation into the Helping Seniors organization, and you could win your pick of one of 5 cars that AJ hires. It's basically representative of each of his dealerships. So I will say this as Jennifer frowns. You could take a Chevrolet Camaro. You could take a Mazda Miata convertible. You could take a Kia Sportage. you could take this year, because AJ has now opened up a Mitsubishi dealership right there on US 1. You could take a Mitsubishi Outlander, or Jennifer Barton, captain of Team Dodge, you could take a what?
A Dodge Challenger.
Talk about the Dodge Challenger and why you want the Dodge Challenger.
Because that is the best American muscle car out of that whole group.
Uh-huh. And they said this could be the last year for it too, right?
They said that last year, but they're saying it again this year.
Yeah.
So it really could be the last year to own, a brand new Dodge Challenger.
Yeah, so
We
it's
really
your
wanna do that.
your choice, right? So when we pull your winning ticket, which happens Saturday, October 7th, when we pull out your number, you will make the decision about which car you want to take. Last year, Gail McGinnis, our winner, local lady, she said, "I want the Chevrolet Camaro." So Jennifer, you
I'll
were saying,
forgive her for that.
yeah. So you were saying this year for sure it's going to be the Dodge,
Oh,
right? So-
absolutely.
yeah.
My son just bought a new truck.
Uh-huh.
Yes, he got his first, big job, and so he went out and bought a truck. And guess what it is?
What's that?
It's a Dodge.
So Dodge sort of runs in the family.
So
I
when
get
we
it.
do Dodge versus Chevy, he wants to bring the truck out.
Yeah,
so
so-
that he can race down with us.
Yeah, so let me tell you what Dodge versus Chevy Challenge is. But first, let me just quickly remind you. So you get a ticket, you support the work of helping seniors, one for $25, $5 for $100 donation, and then you can get them by calling Nancy Deerdorf, our operations director, at 321-473-7770, 321-473-7770. She'll get you set up. You can go to helpingseniorscarraffle.com, get a ticket, or you can go by any Boniface Hires dealership, or for that matter, this is another first. We had somebody purchase a Helping Seniors Car Raffle ticket right there at our front desk today. So that's another one for the history books, and we'll see if she ends up being a winner. We'll see how it goes. But it's so much fun because it all winds up Saturday, October 7th, the American Muscle Car Museum, and we will find the winner when we get there. But back to Dodge versus Chevy. What happened was the first year, this is the 7th annual Helping Seniors Car Raffle, but someplace along the way, Ashley Caswell, one of our board of directors, says, "I'm all about the Chevy," and it's about the same time you said, "I'm all about the Dodge." And at that point, the gauntlet got thrown down, and you guys sort of did like people with friendly rivals with sports teams, and we took it to the next level because we went out to Mark Pylock's test track, and you guys started racing cars around there, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and you still haven't been able to decide. You haven't been able to reach an agreement about which car is better. So there's going to be Dodge versus Chevy Challenge 4.
Which we cannot wait. It is so much fun.
Yeah.
He allows us to go out on that track. We love Mark for that. We get to drive both cars. We get to really look at them over, test them out. It is so much fun. You'll want to tune in to see the shenanigans.
Yeah.
this year's-
DodgeVChevyChallenge.com. You need to go ahead and catch up on the first 3 episodes. Well, that's about the time we have. Get your Helping Seniors Car Raffle tickets, helpingseniorscarraffle.com. Jennifer Barton, Team Dodge. You've got
Go
your
Dodge.
tickets. Seniors Helping Seniors has tickets, and get your tickets and support the work of Helping Seniors. And so with that, thank you again for being on the radio. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week on Helping Seniors Radio.